All right, friends. I am, of course, Arthur Perkins, and this is, of course, APGamingREAL. Let's talk about what we're here to do tonight. Now, normally, we'd be playing a show called New Game Plus, but it's somebody's birthday, so we're not doing that. Instead, we're going to do prep for my upcoming show, Warhammer 40K, Wrath&Glory. I don't have a name for it yet, so we're like, the show isn't even named. That's how high level this GM prep is. Okay, so let me run you through, and if you don't know Warhammer 40K, it's all going to sound like gibberish. I don't know how to help you with that. Learn some Warhammer 40K backstory stuff. Trust me, I'm deep inside of this. Atomic Spoon. We were playing an Iron Hands Scout. That's Iron Hands Space Marine chapter. Basically, these dudes believe that removing as much of the human body as possible and replacing it with cybernetics is the best way to live life. Grim Dark James will be playing a Eldar Warlock, which is essentially an Eldar, it's like an elf alien that has natural psionic powers and has decided to turn those psionic powers into becoming like a warrior. Someone who fights on behalf of the community. Now, since all of Eldar have psychic powers, this is actually super unusual. And he'll be from the Ulthwé craft worlds, which means he's from this giant spaceship that's essentially like Jupiter sized. That they're stuck in a hell zone where they're constantly under attack by horrible chaos demons, and so their whole race has evolved into becoming super psychers. So, you know, he just likes playing on hard mode, I guess. Pondo the Mad will be playing an Inquisitorial Acolyte. He is looking to go from like Acolyte to Interrogator to Inquisitor eventually as we level up. And Sid Alpha will be playing a Tempestus Scion. That's an Imperial Guard, kind of like a elite soldier. I'm actually not super sure about how those guys work. So that's the one I know the least about. We throw out some possible show names here. You guys in the chat, if anything here jumps out at you, if you're like, it's the name of the show that I want to hear, let me know. So it's going to be called Warhammer 40K Wrath&Glory. I was thinking of giving it the sub-tagline, Dark Inquisition, The Lost and the Silent, Dark Imperium, War Band. Oh, you know, if you haven't followed any of my other stuff, I suppose I should explain further about the show. So, we'll be playing Warhammer 40K Wrath&Glory, which is a tabletop role-playing game. And each of the characters will come from a different faction, and each of those factions will kind of have, you know, several other factions attached to it. For instance, like Iron Hands. Sure, Iron Hands is a Space Marine chapter. You can pull in other Space Marine chapters. You could pull in, like, they have a close relationship with the Adeptus Mechanicum. So, these folks together, right, the four of them will form an Inquisition warband. And they are going to roam around and solve crimes for their Inquisitor. And every few episodes, like every 3 or 4 episodes, we're going to switch over to the Warhammer 40K 8th edition war game. And they're each going to take on the role of their faction that's providing military resources for that battle. And the 4 of them will face me or a guest in combat. So each of them is going to have roughly like 500-point armies. For usual, I'll be making all the armies. Their decisions will determine if they get the full 500 points. You know, like, if the Inquisitor that they work for will give them an overarching task. Solve this crime. Find this thing. Go here, do that. And then each of their factions is going to want them to do something extra. The Iron Hands might be like, hey, what's up, dog? We need you to bring us X, which means you got to go to place Y while you're busy doing other stuff. That means you got to move double time. That means maybe you got to compromise. Maybe you need to split from the party and suddenly you're not there when you're needed. That's a thing you're going to have to choose as a player. Is someone playing as a dirty Eldar? Yes, Grimdark James has decided to play an Eldar. So, the 4 of them will face me in 8th edition combat. Not immediately, not at the beginning of the show, but maybe like 8 to 10 episodes in, I want to start being able to convert their characters onto the playing field. So that they will be able to act as HQ units, as Lords of War, and show up on the combat field themselves. So that's like medium term, when their characters are powerful enough in game to reach that kind of level. Yeah, their characters will be a heroic unit. They'll be able to perform heroic interventions. They'll have the character tag, etc., etc. Now, Sunspirit has made this beautiful fucking sigil for the Imperial system, subsector Regnum Albion. You can see it's got the Imperial Aquila. We got a fleur de lis representing the Adeptus Sororitas. We got a really nice shield. We got some skulls. The skulls have, you know, a bit of like a servo skull thing to represent the Adeptus Mechanicus. So that kind of covers the major thing. All right, so there's a lot of questions I got to catch up on. Will each of them get a relic? No, none of them will get relics unless they are set as being the Inquisitor, or not the Inquisitor, unless they're set as being the Warband leader. And I'm not going to let them choose to be the Warlord for the first couple times that we do the show. I'll be preparing all of the armies. I'll be making all of the decisions at the top end until they get a handle on things. Obviously, James is probably going to get a handle on it first. And by first, I mean James knows the system better than I do. It's not that weird. I mean, they don't all need to have the Imperium keyword, right? The Eldar can choose to be a separate detachment. I mean, the current army right now, I guess I could pull it up. But the current army right now is 4 detachments. One of them is a spear, or not a spearhead. Or it might be a spearhead. It's the Inquisitorial army because it's too small to be anything but a spearhead. Best game PCs. Let's take a look. All right, so I should be noted, if you look at this, this is oh yeah, everything's gonna be spoilers, by the way. So all right, so the first army is Sid's Imperial Guard. They have the Relic of Lost Cadia for one of their dudes. I just decided to give it to them because the Warlord doesn't need the relic. There's a company commander. I think there's 2 company commanders, actually. No, there's 1 company commander, then 2 squads of infantry, and then 1 squad of scions, so that Sid could get used to having scions around. The elites are 3 Ogrins, followed by a Bonehead Ogre, and a Basilisk, which takes up most of the points. Chimera for transport. Second, Eldari Craft Worlds. A Warlock Skyrunner, so this dude is a psychic that flies around and does some really, really sick stuff about being a psychic. Followed by Storm Guardians, which will be loaded into a Wave Serpent, which can hold exactly 12 Storm Guardians. So the Storm Guardians are like dudes that get up in a close range, they shoot you in the face, they stab you to death. It's kind of their only thing, but they're pretty good at that, stabbing people to death. Now, for the players, I want to note that, and this is not an army that's ever going to see the light of day. This is just for our Saturday test session. I made the enemy Chaos Space Marines, which is great because they're also Slaaneshi. There are Imperial units here that get bonus damage versus Chaos. There's the Eldari here who get bonus damage versus Slaanesh. Basically, my whole army is set so that the players get a distinct advantage for them being who they are. I want to kind of give I'm gonna give away the shop here a little bit, but I always want to give the players a bit of an edge. I mean, I don't want to be like the players will always win. The players will have no challenge, because that's not true. This show is going to be my reverse battle tech, right? This is going to be mostly not the big battlefield. It's going to be mostly tabletop with some big battlefield. But even in BattleTech, which is the other show that has this kind of format, death is very real. I had some pretty. I mean, I've always had a chance of taking out player units, but now there are people with pistols on the battlefield that chase down pilots down. The players are very afraid of dying, and they should be. They've been on the edge of losing consistently. Like in the 3rd season, they've almost lost 3 times. Some of their battles are very by the skin of their teeth. With James, they will always win. What if there's an episode where I let James play on my side and I play on the player's side? I mean, that was one of the battles that they almost lost in BattleTech, was where James and I flipped positions. All right, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself though. Dark Reapers. Apparently, people think Dark Reapers are pretty good, so I decided to include them in this army. They do have a really sick like missile spam thing going on. I feel like we're just gonna let that happen. And you know what? If none of this is making any sense to you, I suggest that you just Google Warhammer 40K 8th edition quick start rules. You can get an 8-page rule book that'll get you started out. If I'm smart, I'll have included that link in the description section on YouTube. You can, of course, go ahead and like grab any amount of stuff. I mean, all of the rule books are available in a legal PDF form. Obviously, you should buy the actual material. Like, I have electronic material of the stuff that I all physically own of all of these rule books. You can learn how to play this game pretty quickly. I mean, I get it. Farrell's saying she didn't want to learn how to do any homework. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, look, you can learn how to play this game by going to 1D4chan. 1D4chan will walk you through all of the rules. You can just do Warhammer 40K, 1D4chan, 8th edition, and they'll teach it. All right, let's talk about this next. Man, chat is really active. I didn't know that Warhammer 40K was going to be so popular. I didn't know that GM Prep was going to be so popular. Let's see here. Next is going to be kind of a really default Space Marines army here. So we got a captain. He's a jump captain. He's got a storm shield, which I know that Atomic's gonna like, and a thunder hammer. He's mentioned before that he likes. This is called Captain Smashfucker. It's a dude who just jumps over people in a battle and then beats the fuck out of them in melee. I know that he likes this kind of thing. It'll be really good. He has Iron Halo as well for a 4+ invulnerability save. That's a really great thing to have. Next up, his character, Atomic's character, is a scout. So I decided to give him a scout army. This would be important because I'm thinking, I'll get there. Snipers can fire on characters that are not the closest enemy. There, see, it's right here. It literally says that. I was trying to remember out loud what it was. The army that I have set up has multiple characters in it that I'm going to be hiding behind other objects, that I'm going to be hiding behind other units. These snipers will be able to ignore the rule that says that you cannot fire on a character unless it's the closest unit, and try sniping down my winged Daemon Prince with double claw, with malefic fangs or malefic claws or whatever it is. Basically, if this Daemon Prince gets into close range with an enemy unit, it is going to shred this player army to pieces. That Daemon Prince is being followed by a rhino, a Chaos Rhino loaded with Cornish Berserkers. All right, this is exactly the thing that they don't want to have happen. If I throw down Chaos Marine Cornish Berserkers followed by a Winged Daemon Prince with Malefic Fangs, they're going to be looking at like 70, 80, 90 attacks around that they're not going to be able to handle. Any unit that gets caught in melee in 8th edition cannot fire during the shooting round. They're stuck having to fight in melee. It is an all-Slaanesh army, but I can take a detachment of Berserkers. So what I'm saying is these scouts are going to be key at killing this Daemon Prince before it can walk the Rhino into short range. Follow it up, we've got a Space Marine Assault Squad. That Assault Squad can travel with Chapter Master Smashfucker. They're melee as well. Their leader's got an Eviscerator, which is really great at fucking people up really badly. And a Razorback. Technically, the Razorback is not enough to transport any of these units. It's just kind of bulky. It's good at blocking for people, and more importantly, it is a twin assault cannon, which is insanely powerful. It's not the most optimal use of resources, but that twin assault cannon can actually fuck shit up really, really badly. Next up, you can see that instead of a patrol detachment, this is the only non-patrol. We get a Vanguard detachment of Inquisition. So the Inquisition has a very limited unit scape, which means for Pondo's army, I'm going to constantly be building different stuff. I'm going to be pulling units in from Imperial Guard. I'm probably going to give them some Space Marines or maybe Death Watch. Maybe like one Death Watch unit every once in a while. I mean, Death Watch is so... in the lore, they're so incredibly rare and valuable that bringing them on would be like... I mean, they're basically like Dark Angels. And I don't mean the Dark Angels chapter. I mean, like, us biblically, they're like Dark Angels. They're the people that you bring in when you need to wipe flat a place. So you can see here the Inquisitor is the Warlord, their Ordo Hereticus. That is... so this Inquisitor basically represents the actual Inquisitor that they work for. For like the first few fights, this Warlord will be the actual Inquisitor. If they die on the battlefield, they die in real life as well. They'll be assigned a new Inquisitor. For a time, they'll have to work for an Interrogator. Shit will not be great. It will be very bad if they let this Inquisitor die. But a good way to keep an Inquisitor alive, especially a Psychic Inquisitor who is more powerful, and a Warlord Inquisitor who is much more powerful than a normal Inquisitor, is to surround them with Acolytes. So there are 3 Acolytes. All 3 of these guys have Loyal Servant. Whenever a Inquisitor that matches their keyword order, their ordo, which is technically just order, but said in a funny way, whenever their dude loses a wound, there's a really good chance that the Acolyte, there's a 5 in 6 chance that the Acolyte will take the wound instead. All of them will jump in front of the Inquisitor and go, "Mr. President!" So if one of them fails, the next one will do it, and then the next one will do it. The chance of the Inquisitor getting hurt is like 3 in whatever 36 times 3 is. So that's going to end up being like 90 plus 18, 108. 3 in 108 is like not a very good chance of... the Inquisitor's basically never going to take damage as long as these guys are eating it all. All right, and then to follow up, because again, the Inquisition doesn't have that many units in their army, in actual Inquisitorial Codex, I just threw a Land Raider Prometheus, which is a super bulky, amazingly powerful Land Raider. It doesn't suffer penalties while moving. It's got all sorts of crazy ass weaponry. It's got a multi-melta. It's got quad heavy bolters. It just rolls around killing stuff. I think the Hunter Killer Missile can only fire once, but it's kind of powerful. The multi-melta is definitely really good. The quad heavy bolter is like the fucking bomb, and Storm Bolter isn't bad at like picking off people who get nearby. Anyway, this is really an aside for the tabletop RPG side of this. I just wanted to give people a look at what kind of armies that they'd be fielding. So, subsector Regnum Albion. So I have 5 celestial bodies. I mean, I could improve this, but obviously there's going to be Regnum Prime. This is going to be the main planet. It will have a Lord Governor. I think I'm going to name this Lord Governor after Connor Hughes, and that governor is going to be named Colm Humes. Lord Governor Colm Humes. I like it. I like it. There needs to be like a Forge World for Adeptus Mechanicus. There needs to be a Shrine World so that we can get access to Adeptus Sororitas and Janissaries. These are Imperial Guard units that are like they're like super religious. They're like religious knights. Okay, so that covers most of the major factions. I definitely want the yeah, there should be an aggro world. That's a good point. I don't know what to call any of these though. Let's Silac Beta 2. We're gonna workshop that name. I'm sure someone will be like, "Nah, it's stupid, Arthur. Also, that's not how fucking Forge Worlds are named." Shrine World. I mean, again, I don't know what they call shrine. I mean, do they name them after the people who are enshrined there? Let's pull up a wiki. Warhammer 40K Shrine World. Shrine World. Shrine World. Party time. Excellent. Oh, this also gives them access to Adeptus Ministorum. I don't know that they have a separate codex. Okay, some of them just have random names, but other ones have very, like Sanctia, Piety, Innocence. It's a good name. Valorum. It also calls to mind Star Wars and Chancellor Valorum. Valorum. Aggro World. I will let chat, I will let you come up with 3 names for the aggro world, and I will pick the best out of them. First 3 names that I see. And then the final thing is going to be a space station defense platform. And this is going to be the first place the players are going to fight at. So this is like episode 3, episode 4. So this space station defense platform is it's like a metal. Okay, so we got 3 names now: Trikurth, Grandia, and Revisio. I gotta tell you guys, I actually like Revisio the best. This is gonna be like a defensive moon that was set up at the system's edge. You can't get into the system without going there first, right? The very first 8th edition tabletop war game instead of tabletop role-playing game is going to be on this place, and it's going to be a fight against the orcs. Fight against orcs. I mean, some of you who are part of the Warhammer 40K chess channel, because you've asked to be and because you've been active and more or less haven't been a huge jackass about it, know that I really prefer this one amazing map that's there's a waterfall, it cuts into a river. On Tabletop Simulator, the river flows in front of us. It's awesome as fuck. The whole map is like a Imperial Guard outpost with a very, it's like rocks that have been knocked over to cross the river, and that's the only way to get from one side of the map to the other. I want that map to be the first map that the players fight. I want Space Marines jumping from one side of the river to the other. I want people hiding behind a transport trying to ford its way down the middle of that rock path versus the orcs so that everyone behind it can pile in. I want scout snipers up on this raised platform that's on the player side firing at everything on the orc side of the battlefield. Okay? This is what I want. This is the first one. This is going to be my fucking masterpiece. It's my introduction. So we're doing the river map. And that river map is on this space station defense platform. But let's talk about bad guys in this campaign. So the bad guys in this campaign are going to be based off of codexes I already own. I don't own Tyranids. I don't know shit about Tyranids. Tyranids seem like they would be a really badass enemy, but I don't know about them. What I do know about is Evil Imperial Guard, basically Chaos. Chaos Renegades. Obviously, if there is... if the Inquisitor is a Ordo Hereticus, they will be facing Chaos Space Marines. I actually prefer Cornish Space Marines because I love the idea of getting a whole bunch of World Eater Berserkers in a close range and slicing people up. I've never been able to pull that strategy off, though. It's, you know, kind of a thing that I'd like to do, but I haven't been able to do. Eldari, rogue Eldari agents. So obviously there's an Eldari in the party. But, you know, there's Drukari, there's Harlequins. I mean, not all Eldari are united. Maybe they have to, you know, fight evil Eldari, like warp-tainted chaos Eldari. Maybe it's just the machinations of some Farseer who's bending fate in order to get James's character deeper into the loyalty of the Imperium, right? Like, oh, you killed other Eldari for us. Well, now we know we can trust you. You're one of us. Let's fill you in on this secret that we've been keeping from you. And then they're like, all right, now that you know that secret, it's time to get the fuck out. Let's go back to the craft world. Gene Stealers. Eventually, I would like Tau. Eventually. So, there was a place where I wanted this to be based out of. The subsector to be based out of, but let me go find a fucking map. This rulebook is... There we go. Here's a map. Alright. So, it needs to be in the Dark Imperium. It needs to probably be in the Ultima Segmentum on the eastern fringe. I was thinking somewhere near Igma Monolith, near Vengeance. So it'll be in a place that's quite close to the giant rift called the Cicatrix Myrmidon. That's not its name. Its actual name is like the Cicatrix Maledictum. Cicatrix Maledictum. Yeah. Okay, I had it right. I was just making words as I went. Far side of the Cicatrix Maledictum. Near Vengeance. Also near Tau. Hadix. Kind of near Ultramarines territory. And by near, I mean actually half of a universe away, but that's no big deal. Well, half a galaxy. Near Orcs. I didn't write Orcs down here. Obviously, if they're going to be my opening enemy, they're going to be important. That covers most of them. Oh, and there's Necrons somewhere. Necrons, but there's no Tomb World. I mean, Necrons, maybe they're like season 2 bad guys, right? Maybe they like go out to some new dark moon that they found floating at the edge of the system, and then it's gonna be like, surprise! It's a Necron Tomb World! Now there's fucking living metal everywhere. Oh shit. Okay, here we go. Chat is saying some stuff. Being near Krieg? No. I've established where we're gonna be. They could still come across Deathcore. I mean, the Deathcore everywhere. The Yanari have people from all Eldar groups. Yeah, I guess. Really, the important part is that I just have kind of a rotating list of bad guys in order to keep things fresh, you know? I mean, obviously we're going to fight Orcs a lot. I mean, the thing about Tyranids is that they're like an enemy you can't scale back from. Once you say Tyranids show up, you got to be like, there's a fucking Tyranid hive showing up, and like thousands of Tyranids are descending from space upon Revisio, and now the like. Like that'll be the whole. That's it. I mean, the world is basically shit, and now you got to fight Tyranids forever. Those Gene Stealers are like, oh look, we're the Gene Stealers. Well, we're secretly the Lord Governor, and we've also taken over half the military, and now all of your military is shooting each other. Oh no! Like when you bring Tyranids in, it's like, oh shit. All right, so we know the things that are in this system now. We've got a main planet. We've got 3 other planets. We've got a space station defense platform, which I don't have a name for yet, but it'll need to be something really Imperial Guardy. What's a Gene Stealer? A Gene Stealer is a Tyranid that they're like aliens from the movie Alien. They take over human bodies. They kind of pop out of them. They genetically modify themselves to become more human, and after like 5 generations of breeding like that, they become pure gene stealer Tyranids again. They like make genetic hegemonies. The cult of a gene stealer is like all of your cousins and your uncles and your aunts and your grandfather are all secretly alien psychic hive mastermind, and you're one too. And when the psionic call of the Tyranids arriving in the system comes out, you kick over all of the cans and you take over everything, so that the Tyranids have a really easy time landing on the planet. Now, here's the thing: Gene Stealers aren't rewarded for their efforts. They're eaten by the Tyranids as well, but they don't have free will because they're all high minds. What am I looking into now? A name for this space station defense platform. Need something that sounds vaguely Latin-y, that's kind of defenderish. What's the Latin word for shield? I could call it Keralite Station. That would be way on the nose, though. It'd be very funny for anybody that understood it. Latin word for shield. Clipium. That doesn't sound very good. Scutum. By PS. I don't like Scutum. Doesn't sound good. Ooh, Parma. I like Parma, though. Parma Keralite? I could take it. I like it. The Emperor's Gauntlet. No thanks. Oh, alright. Oh, Invictus Citadel actually sounds really cool. I'm gonna save that as a ship name. Cool names. This needs to be its own thing. Invictus Citadel. Apollon sounds kind of Greek. It sounds more Greek than, Latin to me, but that's nobody's business but the Turks. Was once New Amsterdam. Alright, I'm gonna take a drink and then we'll get back into this. If I take a drink, I guess I meant I would chug a liter of water real quick. No big deal. Someone started a timer for how long it takes Farrell to make a reference to chugging things in chat. Let's start with the first mission. I don't have a name for this Inquisitor. All I know about the Inquisitor is they're a psyker, they're sanctioned, they're a little radical, not super radical. I mean, they work with Xenos, so they have to be at least a little radical. Name? I don't know anything about them yet, but their first mission: go to tertiary data vault. Go to tertiary data vault, Oplon, and find a certain document. Probably some notes from the Adeptus Administratum on a referral to the... What's the Imperial Guard? The Munitorium? Is it called? Munit. Departamento Munitorum. Okay, so the document is basically bullshit. No one gives a fuck about it. The important part is that it's been stolen. Zoinks. Alright, so what's on the document was merely just a test to see if the players could get into the data vault. So getting into the data vault will be a problem. How would they solve this problem? I mean, there needs to be multiple solutions. I'm thinking at least 3 ways to get in, because that means that eventually they might be able to do it. Let's talk about what's stopping them. Obviously, they need like a map. No one has. They need a. It'll be a crusade. They will need to actually like kill their way down there, past some like mutants or something. They'll need a map, and I'm thinking that in order to even get the door open, they're gonna need influence, which is a thing. Let's see, how do the rules for influence work in this game? Technically, Atomic's character isn't a cogger, but he is a Iron Hands. Okay, influence. Influence represents a character's ability to purchase, requisition, scrounge, or acquire objects of their desire. So how do they spend influence is the question. This is happening on just like a regular world. Influence, rarity, and wealth. Here we go. Characters with Adeptus Mechanicus. Okay, check for a matching keyword. So let's talk about influence keywords of the door guard. So the door guard is going to be Imperium. They're going to be I mean, it's a data vault, so it's probably going to be admin. Talk about difficulty. Influence test to establish authority rather than a quantifiable resource, blah 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 blah. Unlike a persuasion test, using one's... All right, this definitely counts as influence. Cogger is Adeptus Mechanicus, basically a priest, mechanical priest. Establish the difficulty. Okay, I know that like 3 is a pretty normal difficulty number, so I'm going to make this difficulty number 4. And then I'm going to look at keywords. And 4. A index of keywords list, page 195. Psyker, Eldari. Astra Militarum. Officio Perfectus. I don't think that'll cover it. Militarum Tempestus. That's there. Yeah, I think this will cover it. All right. So one way they can get in the data vault is by going to the local Adeptus Administratum, finding some sort of bureaucrat and being like, I am in charge here. If they're Imperium or Astra Militarum, which several of them are, they can make an influence test versus difficulty 4. Otherwise, they will fail. Number 2. What's another way that you could get the location of a door? It's not just the door that matters, right? Like, getting the door open is a problem. But once you're inside, no one's been there for like 200 years, so no one knows where this file is. What if there was like a cult? Oh. What if there was like a cult? What if instead of fighting the like mutants and stuff on the way there, they talk to the mutants on the way there? And the mutants are like, yeah, we know how to get in there. We get in there all the time. We know where everything is. We go in there and we read all this shit. I like this because this gives the party. So here's the thing: Inquisitorial warbands have like 2 settings, and I want to talk about Grimdark James. He ran, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? He ran a one-shot of this system for us because he is a playtester for it, and he ran this playtest, and the whole time I was like, we're the fucking Inquisition, we're here. My character is Adeptus Sororitas, so she's like 2 feet taller than everyone else in the party, and her armor is painted pure red, and she's also got an extremely rare artifact called Inferno Pistol that could be used to blow holes in the side of the spaceship they were on, so she attracted a lot of attention. And I was vaguely considering having a boombox system float behind me and be like, we're the Inquisition, do whatever we say or we'll fucking kill you. Because that's the thing Inquisitors can do, right? Like, everyone's like, oh, the Inquisition's super stealthy. That's not true, though. You could be openly inquisitorial and just, like, smash everybody down. James said that was the first time anyone had ever played his game that way. And so there's a point where we encountered a death cultist who was like, yeah, I heard you guys all over the ship. We, you know, I didn't realize the Inquisition is here. Let's work together. So he said that in his games, normally the death cultist doesn't realize that the party is inquisitorial and tries to kill them, and then they have to search for a dead body and figure out what she was doing in order to fuck up the whole ship, because she'd secretly been sabotaging the ship because it had a gene stealer on board. Instead, because I made such a big loud noise all the time about being, I never explicitly said I was part of the Inquisition, but I was like, do what I say or the Emperor will burn you or I'll kill you. And our party was so diverse, it was very obvious that we were Inquisitors. She told us about the gene stealer and then invited us to come with her and like told us exactly where to go and what to do. So we skipped a whole bunch of stuff just by being outright. So these players can make that choice. They can make the choice to be a stealthy group, and as part of that stealthy group, they can convince the I'm okay, so I don't actually know how powerful mutants are compared to the players. The players right now are tier 2. So I think that fighting like rat people and like scum will probably be okay. So I'm gonna put rat people or scum. I think it might actually be scum, like SK instead of SU. That break into the data vault, know where the report is. In fact, they have it. So these people, these mutants are they have the report. And so if the players are on their way to the data vault and choose not to outrightly murder them, then they will be able to figure out the rat people or scum. I'm not sure which one is weaker, but they'll realize that the rat people or scum have been stealing stuff from this data vault to teach themselves how to read and basically be useful to society. At some point, their plan is to go up and be like, hey, you know, we know how organizing stuff works. They want to become administratum. They want to rise through the ranks of the administratum. So basically, their life's goal is to move from being horrifying freaks up to, you know, horrifying freaks that have a job, and that job is low-level bureaucrat. That's their aspiration in life, is not get murdered, get food, become bureaucrats, because they know that the bureaucrats have, you know, they have a set job. If these guys can get there, that's it. Their children will be set. Their children's children for 20 generations will always have this job as long as they can get up there. All they got to do is convince somebody, and the Inquisition could do it. Or let's say the players don't give a shit. Maybe they don't want to work with the rat people and or scum. Maybe, you know, they want to have a good fight real quick. Maybe they, you know, sometimes players are like that. You can never predict players. So maybe they're just like, oh, there's bad guys, let's kill them, which is a perfectly fine thing to do. They kill the bad guys, they find their way back to the bad guys' nest, they find their document, which has been stolen. What's a third way they find this thing? They need a map, they need doors. So we're just talking about getting down there, although getting down there, you know, if they go down like the normal way and they just wander around for a while and find the rat people, that can lead to the rat people solution. The influence thing gives them a map, it gives them a way to go. Maybe they encounter the rat people, maybe they don't. You know, maybe they put like a forward guard and they try to avoid the rat people at all costs. The third way, what is a third way? Oh, and obviously once they get to that data vault and see it's not there, that's when we move over to the tabletop role-playing games investigation mechanics. You know, you say that Sid is going to miss everything, but I gotta tell you, in our playtest, Sid did really good at rolling. Sid rolled pretty well. I mean, nobody rolled as good as me. I mean, I fucking done. I mean, what can I say? I had an Inferno pistol. Everybody else is like, oh no, we have to fight, you know, like laborers with pipes. And I'm like, okay, I use my faith in the Emperor to take a second move. I double move up to the Gene Stealer, and I fucking Inferno pistol his ass. And then James is like, well, he rends you and takes half your health away. And I was like, that's fine. The fucking Emperor will protect me with flames of purification. And then I fired the Inferno pistol a second time, and the Gene Stealer went from being a pure strain Gene Stealer to being a pile of ash. All I'm saying is, I fucking cleaned that guy up. Nobody else helped me, and everybody else was struggling to fight one guy with a pipe. Okay? They were struggling to fight people with pipes. And I'm over here, but well, okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Sid actually killed like 2 guys at the same time by like wielding swords and doing some butterfly style shit. But that's fine. What other way? Well, you know what? Let's look at skills. Let's look at skills and see what possible skills players could elect to use here. Athletics, awareness, ballistics, cunning, deception. Now that's actually pretty interesting. Yeah, that's the third path. The third path is they don't get a map, they wander around and either kill the rat people or like don't follow the rat people storyline back to the rat people / scum. And then they're forced to like break the door down themselves. They're forced to wander around and search for things. That is the hardest path, but that path begins with survival. Survival. And you know what? It'll probably be one of those extended skill test things that we didn't get a chance to use, and that extended skill test thing is called I bet you it's called like threat or something. Threatening tasks. Threatening tasks. I'm just gonna write that down. Threatening tasks. By the way, I reserve the right to throw out any of this prep at any time. So the storyline may in fact be very different. But that's only because I don't like any of you. I don't like anything at all. And also random shit can happen. I'm lying when I say I don't like any of you. Anyone who watches any email in my material, I probably like you. I'm just Sundere. Good difficulty is tier +2, starting difficulty number. Okay, so difficulty number is 4 to start with. Successfully completing a threatening task is critical and time is short. They can use combined actions, blah, blah, blah. Determine the number of steps. Either uses the basic or creative method to determine the necessary steps to complete the task. Determine steps. There should be no more than 3, no fewer than 3, and no more than 4, 5. So let's say there's 4 steps. Nice middle ground, because I've never done this. James has done it, but that's it. Completing steps. Only a single step can be completed each round. Game Master lets the players know the steps must be completed in order. Represent these steps in a variety of ways. Each round limited by a number of rounds set by the GM. All steps in the threatening task must be completed by the time of the final round, otherwise the threatening task. 4 steps, 5 rounds. If they fail to make it to the end of this threatening task, the rat people / scum clean up evidence of their involvement, and there is no way to track them. There's no longer a way to track. Thus, the players will fail their very first mission. At the start of the round, the players draw a Wrath card is drawn if any character shares one or more of the keywords. The heroes may attempt to complete a step this round. A hero attempting to complete step gains 1 bonus dice for every additional keyword past the first. Okay. Xenos keyword applies to any non-human character. Resolution Wrath cards. So there are 4 heroes in the warband, so they get 2 Wrath cards. 2 Wrath cards instead of 1. Heroes may attempt to complete a step if one or more of them draws the blah, 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 blah. So the steps are survival for navigation. Navigation to the tertiary data vault. Then they need to open the door. No. Then they need to avoid the rat people. Flashcom. I still don't know whether it's going to be rat people. Task number 3 is opening the door. How do you open the door? Sure, there's a skill that'll do it, and probably some tech priest. I would take Scholar. Sure. Scholar could open a door. Like a super big sealed door. Then they need to search around and find the missing documents location, which will be awareness. Okay. That covers that. All right, so now we actually have 2/3 of an adventure. We have an objective, we have a place for everybody to go, we have a way to solve it very easily, but it requires the players to be diplomatic and to not hate mutants, which they probably won't, but maybe they will. It could happen. Let's say it doesn't. Then we need to talk about adventuring and making a inquisitorial thing. What's it called? An investigation. And that investigation needs to lead them to the conclusion that the rat people have this document. Now, it should be noted that when they come back to the Inquisitor with the document, the Inquisitor, whether they have it or not, the Inquisitor is going to be like, yeah, you got it. I didn't actually need the document. I was just testing you. Or, no, you failed. Failure is not allowed in the Inquisition, and now you're on my shit list. But either way, they'll be sent to the space station, whatever I've decided to call it, Parma-Kirillite, in order to fight the orcs. That'll be the next step. Now I'm looking up how to. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up Warhammer 40K types of worlds. Types. And they're just like a nice world to live on. Planets. Here we go. I'm gonna say high world because high worlds are fucking horrifying, shitty places. I see feudal world, pleasure world, civilized world, industrial world, maiden world. Now that's interesting. Let's look these over. Feudal worlds are planets in which the Imperium has not seen fit to introduce the most modern technology. That's definitely not going to work. Late Iron Ages? Nope. Hive worlds. Truly immense, self-contained, many-layered structures, housing billions of individuals. Hive worlds often provide a much-needed industrial labor, the manufactorium, producing mountains of warm material and other goods to meet imperial. Hive worlds starts. Yeah, see, the thing is, hive worlds are fucking death places. The 90% of the world is uninhabitable because of the horrifying gases produced, and people live a quarter of the time that they normally would. I mean, if I have to make it a hive world, I will, but I'd rather not. Civilized world is a planet whose development has been allowed to develop naturally without any specific purpose to fulfill. That's sounding really good to me. These worlds are self-sufficient in terms of food supply and have varying manufacturing, technological, and industrial capabilities. They're split into geographic areas. It may be higher levels of technology and wealth, or blah, 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 blah. Yep, this is a civilized world. Get fucked. This is what it's going to be. Civilized world, sir. We are not hive world. We may have a hive city somewhere on this world, but we are not filthy mutant hivers. Maiden worlds are lush paradises created by terraforming dead worlds by the Eldar. No, but maybe I can have a maiden world somewhere. Adventuring. Okay, now we're jumping back into running an investigation. Normal travel pace is 100 meters a minute. How fast is that? 6 kilometers an hour? That actually sounds. What's a 5K? That's like 3.1 miles. Yeah, 3.1 miles is a pretty normal pace. 3.1 miles an hour, I should say. Pretty normal pace for a human being. That's like, you know, that's like a jog. Something you could maintain for a while. Not like forever, but like a fast walk. So it should be noted that in Warhammer 40K, all of the factions have a reason to fight all of the other factions, so that you can justify having any two groups on the same battlefield, even the same group twice, right? Like, you need to be able to be like, why is the Space Marine unit fighting another Space Marine unit? Well, you could just be like, well, you know, they're heretics, or, you know, like blah, 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 etc., etc. Okay, threatening task. Oh, well, if I just stuck with threatening task, I would have found investigations. Okay, so investigation number one. Number one, this is if the players find the data vault empty of the report. The judge is the Inquisitor. Clues. So we need 3 clues, and we need 3 keys. And we need locations. We're not going to include frauds, because frauds is complicated. Is basically like red herrings. Instructing an investigation, core components. We don't want to make it challenging. We want to make it easy. Create clues that link together is the hardest part of the process. Clues is the chief component. They must be taken to the judge as evidence and support. Well, each clue is an important piece of the puzzle. It's not the only one. Keep in mind the clues must point to at least one more location, clue, or person, which eventually leads either directly or indirectly to the next clue. Clues can point to multiple locations, cues, or anything else. Clues must be a physical object in the game world. Cues are in-game prompts and breadcrumbs that lead heroes from location to location or point them to another clue, another cue, a culprit. Every cue that the game master puts in should clearly point to something else. So, an example of a cue. While traveling in the Underhive looking for a man who made the fake Psychona Mercy Blade, the warband seems to be dead end. When the heroes consider what to do next, they suddenly witness a psychic vision, glimpsing the knife in question in a river of blood leading toward a crime lord's den. Well, you know what? That's really dumb. To literally be like, oh, you guys are stuck? Here's the exact thing you need in order to move. That's terrible and all. But the first clue that they can find is either rat hair or like a scum torn outfit of their ganger, gang. So like their colors, right? Their emblem. Somebody got knifed here. There's a little bit of blood, and so there's either like rattling hair or there's like a Goliath. I guess is like a ganger name. We'll come up with a cool name. Oh, we'll call them the Jet Sharks. That's the name of the ganger gang. If these guys are scum, they're the Jet Sharks. Their emblem is a shark that has a jet for an ass. Boy, boy. Okay. That's one clue. And it immediately points them towards a people and a location. And so the final location, well, obviously one location is the tertiary data vault. The final location is the place where you can have gangers and mutants on a place that isn't a hive world, BFS. Calm the fuck down. Jesus. It's a civilized world. It's always going to be a civilized world. It's never going to be a hive world. Maybe the main city is a hive city, but it's not a hive world. You're not going to make it a hive world, BFS. This world, people breathe freely. They live to 200 years old. They get a good education from the Scala. Okay? They've seen the sky before. I understand you like hive worlds. And that's fine. I'm not saying hive worlds are... Actually, I am saying hive worlds are bad. They're horrible places to live. I'm not trying to consign an entire people to living in a place of death. A den of crime and Scala. So the place where these rat people / scum gangers live is... It's like a library. They're trying to teach themselves Gothic, the language. They're trying to teach themselves to read. They're trying to teach themselves bureaucracy, law. They're trying to make it so that when they go up to the surface, in order to get these jobs that they're hoping to get with the administratum, that if they get like a citizen's test, they'll pass that test. What other clues could there be to this that will lead them to other places? Let's talk about a note. There's a note. Note about what's some like minor crime, like maybe a drug deal, right? Note about a drug deal. So now the players find this note. It's not inside the data vault. It's outside the data vault. But it can only be seen when leaving, right? So it's a note that when you leave, you can see it, but you couldn't see it going in. That actually makes a slight bit of sense because there are plenty of objects that if you walk towards them, you can't see what's on the far side. Like it could be a note that was pushed up against a rock, and the players walk past the rock, they don't see the note, right? There's no way they would see it out of their peripheral vision, but turn around and now the note is fully visible pushed up against the rock. So very easy to have this there. A mugging. I don't think that would be a clue, but it would be funny. But they're already possibly getting mugged on their way down there. I mean, they are rat people and scum. I mean, it's not like they're angels, right? Like, they're still bad guys. It's just super minor. I mean, death is barely even a crime, or death is barely even a punishment in Warhammer 40K. Like, Killing someone's whole family, that would be a punishment. Burning you to ash and then storing your ash inside an inquisitorial vault so that your heretical ass doesn't come back to life by accident. Yeah, they might be, you know, flogged and put to death just for being mutants. Drug dealing ain't no thing. What's a third clue? I mean, okay, so obviously that clue will lead them to the drug deal. Who's the drug deal with? Some low-end marketplace at the edge of a hab where laborers come get happy drugs from scum. Or rat people. Just use the words interchangeably. Figure it out. Right, so that's a location. Assumably, let's say the Inquisition interrupts this. Then how do we get them from killing the rat people at the marketplace or investigating the rat people and back to their rat people place? So the final clue will be, assuming that they've missed literally everything so far, the final clue will be a map. It will be a map. Map back to the hive. Where the document is. I still need to name this document. Let's talk about cues. When the players enter the vault, they hear a faint skittering noise. They were being observed by the rat people, scum, and opening the door. Ooh, another good cue would be the faint breeze with smell of fresh air, indicating the door isn't the only way in out. What's the final one? What's the final cue? What's a cue we could get from being at this marketplace? Is it a smell? They smell like the sewers. Oh, they smell like the runoff. They smell like the runoff chemicals of the local manufactoria. Because their hive is at that location. Yeah, so they smell. So these rat people don't just learn books, right? They do science, chemistry, experimentation, and they pull chemicals out of the waste and use it to do it. Now, of course, that's how they became mutants over the years, because they're rat gangers. But also because they're scientists. They're desperate to move up in their life. I feel like we've nailed this so far, guys. The only thing we need is a name for the Inquisitor. Put this down. What do we need to finish? What do we need to finish the first arc? We need a name for the Inquisitor. We need a name for this document about referrals between administration and armory. technically it's the administratum and the munitorium, but you know, that takes a long time to write, and I probably won't spell it correctly because it's all Latin-y, fake Latin-y. What else do we need? We need the type of orcs. So I guess we can like pull up battle something, or my orc codex. Have the orc F. I mean, I could go get my orc. That takes a lot of looking. Here we go, codex orc. You know what would be easier than doing either of those? Would just be to pull up 1d4 chan and it'll tell me the exact thing. Warhammer 40K 1d4. Because each orc is literally going to have like one special thing about it. Orcs 8th edition. Stratagems, warlords, clan culture. Okay. Bad moons, reroll shooting phase. That's pretty good. However, I gotta tell you that most of the orcs that I've seen aren't particularly good to shoot at. There's like a melee one. That's what I want to go with. Goths. When a Goth model hits, say unmodified 6 when attacking with a melee weapon, form a single bonus hit. Alright, I actually was gonna say that bad moons suck because orc shooters suck, but I also want to remember that the map that the players are going to be on, it's going to be extremely difficult for the orcs to cross the river to fight. I guess I could control that by giving the players a melee-oriented army. Like, not all melee, but lots of melee, and have the orcs have lots of melee, and then just make this fucking melee fest where the players have to force their way across the river to fight the orcs. Oh, it'll be time-based, too. So if the orcs continue holding for long enough, then orc reinforcements arrive, and the players are completely overwhelmed, and they need to bug out. I should be writing some of this down. Orc Battle 1. Let's make it a 6-round battle. The key is what ends the battle. What does end this battle? Complete annihilation of the enemy. Make both sides mostly melee based. Give players an edge. Tanks slash long range firepower. Slash basilisks. Orcs are Goths. We're gonna make Goth orcs. Whenever they roll a 6 to hit with a melee weapon, they can roll again to see if they will hit. It's exploding, but it's it's non-exploding. It generates extra rolls. And since that's not makes Goth explodes at range. Okay, that's fine. So they're Goths. What do I need to know about Goths? Well, I can just ask Bigfoot stuff. I'm sure he'll be like, I'm about to close this, and I'm sure he's going to be like, no, be freebooters. And what do freebooters get? That's 1 to hit. Adds 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by the models with this culture if any other friendly unit has been destroyed. No, has destroyed it. Okay, so if you kill somebody, all other units get 1 to hit rolls. That actually sucks really badly. Terrible. That's actually awful. You have to kill somebody before it kicks in. And you have to kill made by models with this culture if another friendly unit within 2 feet has destroyed an enemy unit. God, that only kicks in when you kill an enemy unit. There's a fairly good chance that will never kick in. It's bad. It's really bad. Now, obviously, freebooters have some really iconic enemies. They're also all like, oh, we're orcish space pirates. Aye, mate. We're gonna fire our rockets at top speed and slam into the end. Like, they have a really cool thing, but their actual mechanic is terrible. During deployment, you can deep strike any orc unit with a power level of 20 or less instead of setting it up normally. Deep strike a transport, only the transport's PL cost, so anything inside it deep strikes for free. Teleporter. Open topped. Full knob battle wagon. You can fill them up with tank busters to bring bomb squigs into position, or flash gets. Deep strike looters in a truck. Mobile, cheap, long range, and if the truck gets destroyed, looters have a chance of getting armor for free. Also one of the few armies that can deep strike a flamer and fire it in the same turn. The big trucks. Strength 6, AP -2, Super Scorcher. If you use this on a transport vehicle, will land on the table on turn 2 at best. It has to be outside your DZ, and then you have to wait until turn 3 to disembark its occupants and charge. So you are basically resigning from using embark units or CC for 2 turns. With that said, bring a Gork Knot with knobs. Okay, so knob battle wagon is apparently like the preferred thing to do. I'm guessing it's open top, and that means all the dudes inside will be able to shoot out. So I don't know. Maybe we battle wagon just to send something in the player side in order to keep them on their feet. Knob battle wagon / teleporter. And of course, the jump. Everybody keeps using this against me, and it's, oh my god, it's so fucking annoying. It's literally the most annoying thing in the world. It's not being listed underneath the... Oh, that's because it's not a stratagem. To jump is a psychic power. What the restrictions of that are on 1d4 chain. Stratagem. Log disciplines. A crunch to jump. Okay. Friendly orc infantry unit within 12 inches is removed from the table and set back up. Anywhere more than 9 inches from an enemy unit, the unit counts as having moved for the purposes of any other rules, like firing heavy weapons. This is one of the best psychic powers. Because we're not playing match play, I don't need to do any of that turn 2 bullshit. Put an infantry unit you like and charge range of anything on the board, and with Here We Go, we have a better than 50-50 chance of making the charge. Might as well make that shit a fucking hell zone. No match play, make enemy life hell, get revenge against all players. Fortunately, none of the people at the table have faced me in a one-on-one, so... Okay, let's see, there's a lot of talk here. Right, here we go. What clan? Bad Moons are okay orcs, blah blah blah. Orc shooters win by having lots of guns. You're saying Evil Sons. I think I closed it, but aren't Evil Sons the vehicle-based ones? Bearded Jalopno showed up at this point. Orcs have the same shooting skill as Imperial Guard and Tower 4+. Okay, I'm caught up now. Guys, I will now answer questions. Answer questions for several minutes if you have questions, and then I will wrap up the first the first GM prep of this series. I feel like I got a lot of stuff done here insofar as organizing my thoughts. They're not super organized, but at least I have them down on the table. Still need a name for an Inquisitor, the document. I no longer need a name for the type of work sent. Also, I need a name for the show. Just none of these are really Dark Inquisition. I mean, Dark Inquisition is the one that I'm probably going to default to unless something really jumps out at me. Someone suggested the Lost and Silent because the planet is on the literal other end of the galaxy from Terra and it's cut off from Terra. And, you know, probably the whole storyline of the first season, I'm saying first season, but it might be the only season, will be trying to find a way to, like, close the cicatrix maledictum, or at least make a way to bridge through it and get back to the other side of space. For non-Warhammer fans, what this means is there's like warp travel, but the warp travel is now disrupted. The galaxy is cut in half. And so the people who are on the other half of the galaxy are having a really bad time of things because they can't see the light of Terra. Terra is like a it's like a, what do you call those things? Lighthouse. It's like a lighthouse. People that are on the far side of the Terra in the universe can no longer see that lighthouse. So even if they go into the warp, it's now like a million times more dangerous to do warp travel. They can't pay their taxes. They can't send their psychics to go get sanctioned. It's a bad time. So, I mean, Lost and Silent is technically correct, but it just doesn't reach out for me. I could call it Dark Imperium. I mean, Didius Julianus McAlvin. I'm sorry, Haruk, I'm not going to go with that name. Nor will I go with Frederica Lanewand. I could call it Warband. I mean, Warband is very blah. Very blah. Cop out. I think I'll probably stick with Dark Inquisition. I could call it the name of the sector, Regnum Albion. Alright, well anyway, Sun Spirit's working on the the overlays for the show, and he has been for like a month and a half, so I'm expecting something really good out of it. Any questions, chat? I mean, how many people are there even watching this? Let me go pull up some numbers. If it's just BFS, Bearded, and I mean, BFS's questions will literally just be like, hey, what can you tell me about Hive Worlds, and how can I become a Hive World? How can I become a Hive World? Wow, there's actually more people than I thought watching. Especially for GM prep. Is there going to be character art? Not only is there going to be character art, but Bearded Jalapno in chat right now is working on that character art. The Orc War Boss's name. I don't think there will be a War Boss. I don't think the players will... Okay, there'll probably be a War Boss attacking the defense platform, but the players aren't going to be fighting him. Players will be sent in order to help break a Imperial Guard unit out of a siege. They're going to be fighting a small conflict. Very small conflict. They'll be fighting a patrol level conflict. And they're being sent to test their strategium, their strategic ability and intelligence gathering. They're not going to fight and free the whole planet on the first episode. That's not going to happen. It's just not. Instead, they're going to kick some ass. And the ass that they would be kicking is whoever I have lead the army, which won't be a war boss. It'll be someone smaller. Less competent. Any other questions? Kaisuke Stormflare is not going to be the name of anybody. And it definitely won't be the name of the Inquisitor. And it also won't be the name of the show. Oh, Bearded, you're so mad about everybody dying with those police officers, man. All right, there's no questions. I'm wrapping it up, guys. Margaret Crone is apparently doing a St. Jude Children's Hospital donation Dungeons and Dragons stream. So I'm gonna host that after this. Go watch it, I guess, is what I have to say to you. Other than that, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow night for Battletech, guys. It's the end of the stream as we know it.